On the 2nd of February 1944, Jesus spoke to Maria Valtorta about the vision of his presentation in the temple. Jesus says, "Two teachings applicable to everybody derive from the description given by you. The former, truth is not revealed to a priest engrossed in rites, but absent with his spirit, it is instead revealed to a simple believer." I just pause to say that Jesus is there, no doubt referring to Saint Simeon, the non-priest, the layperson, who recognizes who this baby is. Continuing. The priest, always in contact with divinity, devoted to what concerns God and to everything which is above the flesh, should have realized at once who was the child who was being offered that morning in the temple. But it was necessary for him to have a living spirit in order to realize it. A mere robe covering a drowsy spirit, if not a dead spirit, was not sufficient. The Spirit of God can thunder if it wants, and rouse like a thunderbolt, and shake like an earthquake the dullest spirit. It can, but generally, as it is an orderly spirit, as God is order in each person and way of acting, that is divine person, by the way, it, the Holy Spirit, inspires and speaks, not where there is sufficient merit to deserve its effusion, in which case its effusions would be most rare and not even you would know their light, but where it sees the goodwill to deserve such effusion. How is such will exerted? With a life devoted as far as possible entirely to God, in faith, obedience, purity, charity, generosity, and in prayer. Not in practices, but in prayer. There is less difference between night and day than there is between practices and prayer. The latter is communion of the Spirit with God, from which you emerge with fresh strength and a decision to belong more and more to God. The former, that is practices, are common habit exerted for various purposes, which are always selfish, and they leave you exactly as you were. Nay, they aggravate your burden with the faults of falsehood and sluggishness. Simeon had such goodwill. He had not been spared troubles and trials in his life, but he had not lost his goodwill. Age and misfortunes had not impaired or shaken his faith in the Lord and in his promises. Neither did his goodwill to be more and more worthy of God tire or falter. And God sent him to the ray of the Spirit to guide him to the temple, that he might see the light that had come to the world, before his eyes of a faithful servant closed to the light of the sun, awaiting to be reopened to the Son of God, glowing in the heavens, which I had reopened when I ascended after my martyrdom. Quotes, prompted by the Holy Spirit, unquote, says the Gospel. Oh, if men only knew what a perfect friend the Holy Spirit is, what guide, What teacher! If they only loved and invoked him, this love of the most holy Trinity, this light of light, this fire of fire, this intelligence, this wisdom, how much more would they know of what is necessary to know? Just a pause there. We Catholics are aware of the Pentecostal movement, which is outside the Catholic Church, where they place great emphasis on the Holy Spirit. And this is good. Good that Protestants do that. And we have the Catholic Charismatic Renewal, where there's a great emphasis on the Holy Spirit as well. And that's good. But one doesn't have to be a Pentecostal or charismatic. One must simply be a good Catholic and follow the traditional faith. But as Jesus says, love and invoke the Holy Spirit. That can be done in the context of being simply an everyday run-of-the-mill Catholic. And if we do that, if we love the Holy Spirit and we invoke him, then we would know more, as Jesus says, of what it is necessary to know. And so here we have something that we can really focus on for the advancement of our own spiritual lives, not just in a vague sense, but in a very real, direct and concrete way.